I am like in shock over how everything turned out.
I had a feeling you'd come back and save me.
Hi guys, I'm married. It still does not feel real, and I was not even planning on making this video. Like, I don't even know what it is. It's kind of just gonna be a wedding recap because I have gotten so many comments from people and messages saying it is going to be the best day of your life, even people I know in real life. And I always said all along, I don't know if that's true. Like, the best day of your life, that's a lot of pressure to put on one day. And now that it's come and gone, I can confidently say, yeah, it was one of the best days of my life. I'm not going to say it was the best day because there were things about it that went right, things that went wrong. You'll see what I mean. It really was one of the best days though, but hands down, it was the craziest day of my entire life. The craziest day. And there were just so many things leading up to it. Oh my gosh, like I still can't believe everything happened the way it did. Okay, future editing Clancy here. I just have to pause the video real quick and talk about the mess in the background. I was supposed to sit down and refer to it like we were in the middle of packing for our mini moon, and then I just got so caught up talking about the wedding. But yeah, that's why it's a messy background. Normally I don't just have like suitcases and clothes everywhere and yeah. Okay, back to the video. Like I mean, I wrote down a whole bunch of notes on my phone. I just need to tell you guys about it. Like, I just want us to have like a little chat, maybe grab some popcorn, a cup of tea, whatever it might be. Like, we just need to chat about what happened, which I got a lot of questions asking if I was vlogging my wedding. I did not. I wasn't sure if I would, like going into it, I didn't have a definitive answer. I did have a videographer though, so I figured, okay, like let's not have overkill here. I'm really happy I had someone there to capture some of the big moments, but I did not vlog on my wedding day, and that was like the best decision ever. A part of me feels guilty, like, oh, like I feel like I'm letting someone down or like being lazy with work. I don't know, but I just really needed to be present and in the moment, and no regrets there. But oh my gosh, guys, starting with like leading into the wedding day, I distinctly remember thinking, what more could go wrong? Like, there were just so many things where I was just like, oh, and I feel like I was chill about it, but I actually like had a good chuckle with myself, like what more could go wrong? You guys know I booked my wedding a year and a half ago, July 1st, 2023. It sounded like a great date, which I have to say, like when you're booking your wedding date, you find the venue, and then they give you just like a list, like which date do you want? These are our available dates. And it's weird because you're just like, I don't know what date to pick. Like, I don't know. Like, I had some constraints. I knew I wanted it to be warm outside, so I didn't want like a May wedding because I know that can be, you know, there are some days in May that are cold. I didn't want to book football season. Zach's dad is a football coach. And there were just a couple other dates. So anyway, we figured July 1st. Won't that be a great date? I spent the last week leading up to my wedding wishing I would have picked any other date because if you know, you know. Taylor Swift decided to come to Cincinnati on the weekend of my wedding. And oh my goodness, that ended up being just this crazy thing where, I mean, traffic they were predicting was going to be an absolute nightmare and no one was going to be able to get around. The news stories that were coming out, like, oh my gosh, because it wasn't just Taylor Swift in town. It was also the Reds, the Cincinnati Reds baseball team. They're actually amazing right now. They're normally not. Normally, they're not sold out at Great American Ballpark. But of course, because it's my wedding weekend, sold out. And by the way Cincinnati is set up, the stadiums are right next to each other. So it was like stadium, honestly, my rehearsal dinner, and then stadium, like all within like just walking distance, like a 2-minute walk. So it was insane. And then one thing I didn't even vocalize, I didn't even vocalize this to anyone because I was like, I don't want to put bad juju in the air, but my wedding was happening technically in Northern Kentucky. It's called Trees Pavilion. It is a beautiful venue. We'll get into that in a bit, but I'm so happy I picked this venue. But yeah, it's actually right across the river from Cincinnati. So you have the beautiful view of downtown, all the stadiums. And my biggest nightmare was, oh my gosh, Taylor Swift's concert begins the exact time as my ceremony. And I didn't know how like the sound was going to travel. Would you even be able to hear like my beautiful, you know, like walking down the aisle music, or was it just going to be overpowered by that concert? That was a thought that I had, thinking, oh my gosh, that's going to be awful. But what can you do about it, right? Like, so my whole thought process was there's no point in even worrying about it. On top of all of that, we were heading into what was going to be a stormy, possibly tornado-ridden, rainy weekend, which I obviously didn't want. Who wants rain on their wedding day? Especially the ceremony was set to take place outside. So the week of my wedding, on Monday, I looked at the app, I saw just storms. Then I got in my car and I turned on the radio, and of course it was the meteorologist saying it's going to be a stormy weekend for Taylor Swift, and all I'm thinking is my wedding and my wedding. It was in that moment that I decided I'm not looking at the weather again. I did not look at the weather forecast again. I would hear it in like conversations though, which was annoying, and I stopped listening to the radio because I didn't even want to hear meteorologists. I did not look at the weather again until the morning of my wedding. Going into my rehearsal dinner night, I thought it was going to be downpouring, and we actually didn't have a backup plan because our whole rehearsal dinner party, like the welcome party, because most of my guests were from out of town, was outside. And we didn't have a backup plan. So I just was like, well, just what will be, will be. Like, I don't know. We'll think of things on the fly. Like, I cannot worry about this. And then on top of it, we have been dealing with the remnants of the smoke from the fires in Canada. And obviously, the big reason I chose Drie's Pavilion was because of that beautiful downtown Cincinnati view. And I chose this because most of my guests are not from Cincinnati. I thought, what better way to show them Cincy than to have this amazing view? Like, I almost felt like it was like a prop, or like, you know how like at my wedding, for example, like I had the photo booth. I almost thought the downtown Cincinnati view would be its own little activity for people that they could enjoy. And that was the reason I chose my venue. 2 days before the wedding, we went to my venue to drop off some of the things, like, I don't even know, like signs and various things. First of all, it was the rainiest day because it just has been so rainy in Cincinnati lately. You could not see the downtown Cincinnati view from the venue. It was just all like what looks like fog, like just nothing was there. And I mean, in my head, I'm just like, wow, this sucks. Like, this is really not good. Again, I wasn't vocalizing any of this. There's just, for me and how I deal with anxiety, is just don't freak out about it. Just move on. So I didn't like vocally say like this is actually a nightmare, but it really was a nightmare because that's what you're paying for. You know what I mean? Like, that's, anyway, I was really sad. So going into it, we were dealing with the fires, we were dealing with Taylor Swift, possible tornadoes. I got a notification on my phone the day of my wedding, just to top it all off, tornado possible. Like, and I was like, really? And obviously I was just sad that my wedding day was going to be a total washout. One of the local news stations actually wanted to do a story with Zach and me about handling Taylor Swift happening the same weekend as our wedding, but we said no. And I feel bad about that because I know as a reporter, like, you just want the story and you really hope people say yes, but like we couldn't handle one more thing. And by the way, I was secretly hoping all along that the news stations were hyping up this whole Taylor Swift thing out of proportion. And I was telling people that's what news stations do, because you're just, you like kind of just like, if you get a cool story, you like hang on to it and you make it bigger than it even is. I will say that ended up being the case. And they were even putting out like Taylor Swift survival guides and things like that. And I actually ended up having to tell my mom, like, please stop sending me all of these things. Like, she was sending me air quality alerts and the Taylor Swift stuff. Like, it really was causing me anxiety. So I just ended up having to be like, please don't do this. So I ended up picking Carly up from the airport. Carly's my best friend, and she was giving a speech at my wedding on Thursday. We had the rehearsal dinner on Friday. Friday morning, or it was Thursday maybe, I ran into a difficult moment because I tried on my rehearsal dinner dress and I went downstairs and my mom was staying with me, and she said she didn't like it. She said it looked like a tennis dress, and she told me like I should wear something else. And it just sucked because, and then she was like, oh, you could wear it obviously, but it kills the vibe, you know? Because then you're like, well, do I look awful? Like, you just don't feel as confident or as good. So Friday, I was going into it thinking like, all right, I'm gonna have to wear this other dress my mom likes more. And there was nothing wrong with it. I just didn't feel as happy in it. That's the only way to describe it. I had Carly, like, I didn't tell her which dress I liked, which dress my mom liked. I had her go into it blind. I showed her both options, and she liked the same dress as me, and it just confirmed everything. And I swear it was like in that moment, and with Carly coming, like, it just, I don't know. It was like a weight lifted off my shoulders. Like, I went into the rehearsal dinner night doing something that like I wanted to do, you know? Like, I did it for me, and it just like, I feel like it it lifted a weight off me. And that sounds stupid, but I feel like with this whole wedding thing, I've made so many decisions that other people wanted or for other people or like what I thought they might want. It just felt really nice to make a decision, not selfishly, but just like, this is what I want and I'm doing it. And I just felt so happy. Seeing all my family members also, it was so nice. Like, oh my gosh, it just was great. So the rehearsal dinner night, I did not have a drop of alcohol. Everyone kept asking why I wasn't drinking. My answer was, I don't want to wake up ugly tomorrow because when I even have the littlest bit of alcohol, first of all, it interrupts my sleep. Second of all, I don't want to wake up like, ugh, like I want to be my best self on my wedding day. So didn't have a drop of alcohol and I slept in a different room than Zach. Zach was actually trying to blow it. So we booked 2 separate rooms and then he ended up texting me, asking me to come up to his room that night, which I really should have because he had this like really cool like master honeymoon suite, but I wasn't gonna let the room go to waste. I ended up telling him, nah, tomorrow I will, but not tonight. And then I woke up on my wedding day and I was feeling bold. I decided for the first time in a week to look at the weather, which I didn't look at the weather at all on Friday. Like I just forgot it was even supposed to rain. Literally didn't rain a drop. Not when we were out, at least. I think I got back to the hotel room at like 12:30. Didn't rain a drop. And I remember when I was going back to the hotel room, I was like, wait, it was supposed to rain. Like, what? I just got so caught up talking to everyone. I'm like, what? So I was feeling bold on Saturday morning, the morning of my wedding. Open up the weather app. It was just rain, 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 rain at every hour of the day. A total washout. I was bummed. I tried to keep a positive outlook leading up to my wedding. I looked at so many photos of like rainy wedding day inspo. I ordered the clear umbrellas. I gave Zach his, I had mine. And I was determined to make the best of it. And I was going to make the best of it, but on my way to the hair salon, I was getting my hair done. I snapped this photo just to remember how not ideal of a morning it was. Got my hair done, then I went back to my house and the makeup artist Naomi, who is just amazing, I can link her below. I can link all my wedding vendors like throughout the process of sharing my wedding with you in various videos, but she was there doing Carly's makeup. I also invited Zach's sister to get her makeup done, my niece Aria, and then my mom also got her makeup done. Zach's mom asked me at one point, like, when do you have to make the call as to whether or not the wedding is happening inside or outside? Because obviously there's a backup option. And I told her it's happening inside because I don't want the stress of like, oh, maybe we can like squeeze outside and then it just rains on everyone. I was also nervous about air quality throughout all of this. Like that really was a concern. We had some older guests and the last thing I ever want is to put anyone's lives in jeopardy and that's not to be funny, like really, for someone like me, you know, I'm young, the air quality alert from the Canada fires, like it's not as big a deal, but if you do struggle with breathing in any type of way, like that's really not good for you to be out there. So that really had been stressing me out a lot. And I told her like, it's happening inside. It's all inside. We're not even considering outside. Like it was pouring outside as I was saying that. And Zach's mom showed me, so one of her good friends, it actually poured on her whole wedding day. And Zach's mom texted her saying, looks like ours is gonna be washout too. And she sent back the most beautiful photo of her wedding day saying like, this was my favorite photo that we took in the pouring rain. So that definitely made me feel better, like knowing, okay, someone else has been there, done that, and it turned out good. And in my mind, the wedding was just happening inside. Once the photographers and videographers arrived, we started coming up with an indoor first look option because you guys know Zach and I did a first look. And I was asking them like, do you have any recommendations? If we can like go under an awning, should we just do it all inside? That's when I was like, okay, enough ignoring this weather because I kind of have been ignoring it. Like we need to come up with a game plan. And we did. We came up with like, okay, you guys are gonna arrive first. Like they were gonna leave a little early and show me, do you want me to go inside, under an awning? Like what do you have figured out? And that's what was going to happen. Then as we were leaving for the venue, I took my clear umbrella and I was like, oh wow, it's not actively raining right now. Like it still wasn't sunny or anything, but it's not actively raining. That's weird. And my next thought was, let us race to the venue. What if we can squeeze in this first look when it's not raining? So I kind of was like in the back seat. My mom was driving. Carly was in the other seat thinking like, we got to get to the venue. Like I would love to squeeze in this first look. If we can do it outside, that would be amazing. At this point, I also didn't know if you could see downtown Cincinnati just because 2 days before you couldn't with all of the fog. We get to the venue. it was funny because like I could see the back of Zach like kind of just standing there like looking all around, because for our first look we were gonna have me walk up to him, like if Zach's here, and we'll have him turn around and then I walk up, because my mom was very adamant she does not like the first look options where the person is standing and then like you tap them on the shoulder, which I mean, I guess that could look awkward. I just dropped my phone. Do you want to tell them about how much you cried?
Down.
My little...
I look so small. My big clients. Look at her up on her pedestal.
Oh, Zach.
Now that
Getting
we're
me
married,
grapes?
now that we're married, she's very bossy. My internal tears were flowing heavy.
He didn't even cry. Why, Zach?
Because you said you weren't gonna cry.
It's not something you can control.
It's like a mindset.
Zach.
You told me you weren't going to, so I couldn't be like the crybaby of the couple. I did inside. I cried with the boys.
You're like weeping alone.
Sam, Kevin, and I were just just a group cry. We got it all out. Did you tell them when you cried?
Well, I'm not up to that part yet. So I was actually going to say the first look was really not emotional. It was because, and also the thing is like, it was just like, you had the photographer, the videographer, and it really wasn't like emotional. Did you feel more emotional for the first look or me walking down the aisle?
Oh, walking down.
And
I kind
guys,
of feel like I blacked out during, I feel like I remember a lot. I don't really remember our first look.
yeah, I like really like went in and out of memory.
Yeah. I mean, so many things happen. Like, so many memorable things happen, so it's almost like hard to like
Too much.
keep track.
Like
keep track
I
of.
will be the first to say, because like you know how like the whole is your wedding day the best day of your life? It is one of the best days of your life, but no, it is too much. Like it's actually too much. Like it's like
Yeah.
it's just too much. Because all of your favorite humans are in one room and you get to speak to each of them for just a couple of minutes. Like it's like a tease, it's like a mind trip.
Yeah, so like, and I don't know how much you've talked about this or not. So Taylor Swift being in town, we thought was going to be bad. It ended up being pretty good because the city was very lively.
Oh my gosh, okay, I'm currently taking off my makeup, but one thing I forgot to say, the night photos. So because Taylor Swift was in town and it was July 4th weekend, I don't know, there were fireworks coming from many different locations. We got fireworks. So it just was so cool for like, I don't even know. I have no idea how many minutes it would have been. It was just nonstop fireworks with the Cincinnati skyline in the background. Like it was magical, and it's so funny and ironic that we were so worried about, oh my gosh, Taylor Swift being in town. Like this is going to be so bad. It ended up being amazing. And one of the big things, like the vibes were so up. Like for all of our out of town guests, they were like, Cincinnati is so poppin', Cincinnati is so cool. And I'm just like, yes, it is, but I will admit it's not always this poppin'. Like it was definitely more lively than usual, which ended up just being 50 times better. So yeah, like it just goes to show you really shouldn't worry about things. There were so many things that came together.
I think the only part of it being bad is that we didn't have more people come down on Friday to spend
talk to
more
them.
time with them. Yeah, I guess if I had advice, if you have to get married, like try to find like ways to see the people traveling in more other than just hoping you get to spend time with them during your wedding. I mean, I wouldn't go back and change really anything, but it's almost more you were hopeful to spend more time with some people.
If you are in between first look or not first look, I mean, I cannot recommend first look more, because we did the first look and yet walking down the aisle was very emotional for me. Like it was not expected. This was not expected. But to back up a bit, I fully thought it was what is it called? An indoor ceremony. And then an hour before, someone said something about it being outdoors. Like, and I'm just doing a million things, taking a million photos and this and that. I guess it was an hour and a half, somewhere around there. And I was like, wait, what? It's gonna happen outdoors? I obviously hadn't looked at the weather app or like the radar. And I was floored. And I'm like, how are we having an outdoor wedding? Meanwhile, from the second I arrived at the venue to the entire wedding, it didn't rain a drop. How? It was supposed to storm it doesn't make sense to me. None of it makes sense to me, like at all. So I am so grateful because I posted a couple photos. I have only gotten a couple back. They just give you a preview. It was the most beautiful like thing, like the most beautiful ceremony I could have ever imagined. I did not look at one human. Like I did not make eye contact with one human in the crowd. Like it was literally just me, Zach, and his Uncle Tim who was the officiant. Like literally we were the only ones. I was so nervous about saying vows, and I wasn't nervous in the sense of thinking of anyone but us three, but I actually felt so emotional. I was scared I wasn't going to be able to speak. Like I got up there, I ended up, so one thing that I do for my anxiety, this really does help me. It's so simple, so I almost like hate saying it as like ever, you know, a piece of advice, but taking a huge breath in, it really helps me. Like just feeling like, I don't know, like just kind of like resetting. I cannot explain it. I'm not going to try to, but it really helps me. Well, I ended up having to do that twice, like up there. Like it was his uncle handed me my vow book, and I just had to like breathe. Like, and that was probably weird for anyone else watching, but it's okay. It helped me get through the vows, and I did. And I am so happy we actually said the vows at the ceremony, because I just think it was so special. It was a very short wedding. Like we were never trying to be up there long, but it was so special. Zach's vows were amazing. But as I was standing up there, I actually had to wipe away tears, guys. And I really had to wipe them away. I didn't want like tear streaks. And so I really have to keep wiping them away. Like this isn't like me. This isn't like who I am, but it's just, it's emotional. Like it's just, I cannot explain it.
You're talking about my great vows?
No, I'm not.
Oh, what were you talking about then?
Nothing.
So you cried multiple times?
Did you like my vows?
I did. Did you like mine?
Shut up. You're such a dweeb.
What? I just said I liked yours, and I'm asking you the same question you asked me.
Yeah.
Good. So this was controversial. You didn't want to say vows. Are you happy we said vows?
I'm happy. And Zach's suit looked so good. Like I was actually like, I really was blown away or whatever. You obviously always look good looking, which is the only reason I'm marrying you, but but obviously you're always good looking, but you really looked so good. I was like, wow, gosh, don't mind if I do.
Well, you look very pretty as well.
Oh, people are gonna wonder about like, what are your thoughts on my dress, the big reveal?
No, I mean, I told her if she would have had me pick out on photos, I feel like I would have picked that one. So I feel like it like fit you nice. It was like your style. No, I mean, I thought it was stunning. I mean, it was probably a lot of work walking around in that big thing all night, but
I do have to say it was annoying AF, but it was like worth it. But it was annoying. So one thing, I thought I was gonna go for sparkles and glitter and all of that. On me, I liked a more plain, like I liked ball gown, but plain. Like simple like that. And then, okay, so I mentioned that there was something on the dress that I said, I literally got to the bridal place and I said, okay, there's one thing I don't want. First of all, I don't want tight, but also when there's like a mesh, did you see how it was very deep V and there's like mesh? Yeah. I was like, I hate mesh. I think mesh looks ugly. And the bridal consultant, I think is the title, kind of just like smiles. It was the first dress she had me try on. I'm like, okay, I actually like the mesh. I've actually seen someone who wore that same dress. They took out the mesh, but then it was like cleavage.
No, yeah, I mean, you've said you didn't want to show off any chest, so it was probably the best way to do it. With like it still being like a V, because the V came down to what, like
the
there?
V came down, yeah, but the mesh made it good.
I thought you knocked it out of the park with your dress there. And you liked your makeup and everything?
I will say one thing about my wedding day. I literally never got the chance to look in the mirror. I really did look like a big mess. Like, because obviously I should have been touching up my makeup, my hair, and the last thing I cared about was what I looked like, which is ironic. But yes, I really liked my makeup when she did it.
No, I mean, I don't think you ever looked like a mess. But yeah, no, it's just like funny thinking like the last minute details. It wasn't like last minute, but you were thinking about not having someone do your makeup, and we did.
I'm really glad.
I wasn't gonna buy like a little flower boutonniere or whatever, and then I did, and just different things that you like do at the very last second that we're happy we did.
And obviously Zach's suit, because I said like, oh wow, I wasn't expecting that color. I know white isn't, or cream, he likes to say.
It's not, I didn't wear white tux.
Okay, cream dinner jacket. I know that's not like out of the ballpark, but I've never been to a wedding where someone wears that, first of all. Second of all, we had spent a year speaking about 3 colors, black, navy, or gray. So I was shocked when he came home and said cream. And I told him so many, I mean, I literally, one of the first things I said to you was like, oh my gosh, you did, like, this was it. Like, this was, I can't even
No, I
imagine
mean,
you wearing anything else. It looked really good.
I did applaud when I walked down the aisle, which we'll just
Yeah,
leave
because
that there.
we were all walking down. I heard laughter out there, and I'm like, what was the laughter? And it was because someone, I guess, started clapping when Zach got up there, and then Zach was like, you can clap for me.
Yeah, no, it was like I was just walking with my mom, and like someone started clapping, and like I turned and I heard it. I'm like, no, it's okay. You can go ahead and clap, and then like everybody started clapping. It was funny.
And one thing that, like, a crazy behind the scenes, for all of my pictures that we took after the first look, there were little pins in my dress where the train was not out. So no one like thought to, you said you
I saw the
you
pins, but I thought they were supposed to be there.
Oh, I'm a hot mess. So anyway, as I'm about to walk down the aisle, one of the people at Dre's Pavilion was like, you have pins in your dress, like gold pins. And I'm like, oh my gosh. We were delayed walking down the aisle, but just like you said, you noticed, like.
Well, yeah, because everybody was going in order, and then I got up there, and the next one after me was Clancy, and we're standing there, and then they kind of opened the door to prep for her, like you can see the door crack, and then like nothing happened for like, I don't know, 40 seconds. Oh. I'm just standing up there looking at my Uncle Tim, like, all right. She really wait for the last second to bail on this thing? She could have done it in the morning.
Yeah, I know. Well, and another thing, by the way, about doing the first look, we said we barely had enough time to speak to everyone. Imagine us not being at the cocktail hour because we had to take our photos then. Like, I just don't see how you could do anything but a first look. But also, all my family is from out of town. So if it's people you see every day, it's like, who cares if you barely speak to them at the wedding? But these are humans that I love so much, that I want to talk to. And I'm really grateful. And I will never know what we did to deserve such beautiful weather.
Well, yeah, and I'm sure you talked about it already, but even the morning of, it was
awful.
I mean, when I woke up, I woke up to like thunder. Like I heard like thunder, lightning. It started raining. I never was stressing about the weather, but like that morning, I'm like, man, like this just starts the mood a little low. Like it's better than if it started sunny and then that hit us later.
I know.
So
I don't even know if I want to keep this in, but like there were two really weird things that happened. One, it was like the 2 nights before our wedding, and Zach was like, were you reading in the middle of the night? And I said, no. My Kindle turned on out of nowhere. That's weird.
I don't know where you're going with this.
Like if it was like one of like either your grandpa or my grandpa or my granny.
I don't believe in ghosts.
I know, but I think I kind of. And then another big thing, we were heading into the wedding venue. My mom, Carly, and me. My car started out of nowhere. I know you don't believe in it, but I thought that was the most insane thing. All right, get out of here. Goodbye.
Not sure what this channel's turned into.
Sigh. Oh my gosh. But anyway, there is so much more that I have to get to. We have to pack for Miami. Like, we have the whole mess behind me, in case you're wondering. We're leaving tomorrow morning, like, honestly, in less than 12 hours, actually, which is kind of scary, and I have so much to do. But, yeah, I have to go over, like, first dance, my dad's speech, Carly's speech, like, so much. I am, like, in shock over how everything turned out. I will say, like, I left feeling just bad about like not speaking to some people. Like it was a matter of like people coming up to me, like, you know, people come up to you, and then I'm just like, oh gosh, I barely spoke to this person and that person, and I feel bad because it means so much that people came. But yeah, I'm grateful, and in the coming vlogs, I'll post more info about like little details you might be wondering about, like the dress and various things. But I love you guys. Thank you so much for all of the sweet messages you've been sending. You guys know it means the world to me, so thank you. I really, really, really appreciate it. And that's a wrap. That is a wrap. Time to get packing. Bye.